You have to draw a line in the sand. You have to build some boundaries.
Maybe I'm not the right one for it.
I'm to a point where I don't want to try anymore.
You are hurting yourself. This is something we see regularly.
What is someone in your life fighting for? And how can you be there for them?
Welcome to Marriage Helper Live. Hi, I'm Dr. Joe Beam, and in this program, I love to talk to you. In a moment, I'll give you a telephone number that you can call, and if you wish, you can just listen via that number, or you can actually press a 1 when you hear an answer. It'll put you into the queue, you'll be screened, and then hopefully we can talk to each other right here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to have to get some help from my producer because I don't have a screen. I don't have the screen that I need. If you can help me with that as we get started, you'll do that from over there. But I'd love to talk to you, and when I give that number in just a moment, you can do that. Now I've got my screen. Thank you, Jesse. I walked in a minute or two late today. The reason is that my wife Alice had her knee replacement surgery on Friday, and so this is Monday following. She's still in the hospital. Things have not gone quite as well as they expected, and so I've been doing a lot of trips back and forth to the hospital, and it's really messed up our whole family schedule, but she's going to be okay. If you're praying people, please pray that she heals rapidly and the pain decreases and the other problems that popped up will get remedied very quickly. And forgive me that I had to interrupt the program to ask Jesse to fix my screen for me. Today is the day that in America we celebrate the birth of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Not his actual birthday, but as is the case with many of the people whose birthdays we celebrate, it's on a Monday, so it can work out for people for the 3-day weekends. I have studied Dr. King extensively over the years. Maybe should be ashamed to admit that I first started studying Dr. King for his oratorical skills. He fascinated me about how he could move an audience so deeply to the point that where they would walk into a place and take a beating. For example, a friend of mine many years ago told me that he walked across that bridge at Selma with Dr. King. And when I said, how could you do that? I've seen those old films, how they beat you, they sick the dogs on you, they did all kinds of terrible things to you and you guys because Dr. King was preaching nonviolence. You took it. How could you do that? To which he replied, oh, Joe, if only you could have heard him. You would have followed him into hell and fought Satan himself. And so I admit my initial studies for Dr. King were oratorical, but I also found out a lot about what the man stood for. You say, now what has this got to do with the Marriage Helper program? I'm getting to that right now. It was just today, after all the years I've studied and read about him in so many different ways, and I've long since gone past looking at the oratorical into who he was, what he talked about, what he was trying to accomplish, the principles that he stood for. And it was just today, after all of that, it was just today that it hit me. You know, some of the principles he taught are very similar to the principles we teach about how to save a marriage. Now, not all by any means, but some. Now listen just for a minute and think this way. When you think there is no hope, when you think that everything is against you, everybody is against you, but you know that the cause in your heart is good and right, then you do what you need to do for that. One of the principles he taught, which is exactly one of the principles that we teach. If indeed you believe that you should stand for your marriage, that it's something important enough for you that you will take some pain for, even when it seems that everybody around you is totally against you, your friends saying, give it up, let it go. How can you let yourself be used like this? Your family, maybe even your parents, your siblings, why would you take this abuse? And you think deep in your heart, because I believe it's the right thing to do. Well, I can concur with Dr. King's point about that. If you're convinced it's the right thing to do, then do it, no matter how much opposition that you face. But at the same time, he was nonviolent, and of course, that goes to say that we certainly are too. But maybe a little bit push on that principle for us would be, don't try to force the other person to do what it is you want them to do. He talked a lot about if you're going to change somebody, it's not going to be through power or force. If you're going to change somebody, it's going to be through loving them no matter what they do. And that whatever they do, they're responsible for. You're only responsible for yourself. And so if they treat you badly, you, and this was another thing he talked about greatly, you live by character, having integrity, standing up to do what's the right thing. Yeah, we could go on and on about Dr. King, but that's not what this program is about. It's about talking with you. But you know, as I was thinking about that today, that man was courageous. Now, you might be thinking, yeah, but they assassinated him. And for some of you, standing as long as you have and as hard as you have for your marriage is the pain that you'll feel if God forbid, your spouse winds up marrying somebody else, then that pain will be kind of an assassination. Not the same, obviously. I'm not trying to equate the two. But it'll be a deep, deep pain when you know this is the end. But it's not necessarily the end. They killed Dr. King, but they didn't kill his heart. Well, his physical heart they did, but you know what I'm talking about. And people who came behind him. The world is a better place today because he lived. Now, racial prejudice is still a problem. There are all kinds of societal problems that still exist. But it's a better place because of the fact that that man stood for what was right. We don't want people to be mistreated. And if you stand for what is right, and if, as I've already said, God forbid, your spouse winds up divorcing you and marrying somebody else, then you keep living by character. You keep standing for the right things. And while we don't have an organization that tries to equip people to be ready for the next marriage, we fight very hard for the marriage that you're in. We know that. We know that. By the things that you've done and the things that you'll learn, and by the better person that you'll become in spite of all the pain, if indeed you want another relationship. It's going to be amazing. Well, the old principle is like attracts like. And so if you're going to be despondent, if you're going to be mean, you're going to be angry, you're going to be depressed, maybe that's the kind of person that you would attract to you. But if you're going to be strong, if you're going to heal through your pain, if you're going to keep being the best that you can be through, well, the pies, for example, physically, intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, if you do that, then and we don't want it to happen. We want this marriage to last. We want to help you save this one. But if it ends, and by the fact that he or she marries somebody else, whoever comes into your life next, if you pay attention because of you would like attracting like, is going to be good for you. Now, again, I'm not trying to prepare you for that. I'm trying to tell you that the principles we teach lead to good things, even though sometimes you have to face persecution to get there. All right, let me look over here at some of the people who have called in, and I think I'm going to go right here to Michelle in Illinois. Hi, Michelle. Joe Beam, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great, thank you.
Good. How may I help you?
My question really is very similar to what you've just been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I feel confused on how to remain hopeful that this will end, the limerence my husband is in. He left to live with his affair partner. But at the same time, I know I need to move on emotionally for myself, the pies.
Mm-hmm.
But this feels like a mental contradiction that I'm struggling with daily.
I see. And help me understand, what about it feels like a contradiction?
I guess when I feel like I'm moving on,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not being hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm tricking my mind. Okay, I don't want this. This is fine. I'm going to be okay. And I feel like that's a contradiction to remaining hopeful.
I can understand that. Now, help me understand what you mean or what you think and feel when you say moving on.
I guess accepting what's happened and
Mm-hmm.
accepting that he doesn't want my forgiveness and he wants to, in his own words, see where this goes with this other person.
Yeah.
And
Okay. You know, if I may ask, how long has he been involved with her?
it's 2.5 years now. I found out 6 months ago.
Okay.
We've been married for 24 years.
Okay.
His coworker of both of them, they work for an airline, which is not a good job for relationships,
No.
ratted them out because he had not told me in 2 years.
So somebody felt enough empathy for you and integrity that you needed to know. That's good. So he's now living with you. Say, how long has he been living with her?
6 months.
6 months. Okay. And what kind of contact, if any, do you guys have with each other?
Well, I've been trying to do smart contact so I don't really bother him. I wait for him to call me, which he does.
Mm-hmm.
Call. It's gotten less. In the beginning, probably a few months in, he would come over for dinner, and we actually ended up being together. And I think that scared him after the second time. He felt like he was being unfaithful to her,
Yeah.
which killed me.
Yeah, sure.
So now he's really distancing himself from me, and it's gotten very, very limited. And he's even bringing up the word divorce because he said, I really don't want a divorce from you. But now she got divorced within 6 months, and she's pushing him.
I bet she is. And so even though he's thought about divorce, as far as you know, he has not filed for divorce, and you would know, of course, they'd serve you. So that hasn't occurred. Do you guys have children?
No, but I was in a limerent relationship with him, and he had two small children when I met him, 6 months and 2 years. So I feel like I was technically an affair partner. I just don't know how I lasted 27 years. Um,
Well,
because his first marriage lasted 7.
It is atypical. If it starts with if limerence leads to the end of one marriage and the beginning of another, it's atypical for that marriage to last very long. It doesn't mean it can't happen, but it doesn't happen much. And so you've beaten a lot of odds to get to where you are now. The fact that you've been together for these many years. The woman he's involved with, is she similar in age to him or significantly different?
No, similar.
Okay. All right. And so here's what I hear you saying. I'm going to wrap this up here. You say, I'm accepting the fact that it's happened, that I can't change it. I'm not pursuing him, and by doing that, I'm practicing smart contact. But at the same time, it seems like as I do that, I'm losing my own hope that anything will ever happen. That's what I've heard you say so far. Is that correct?
Yes, and he just recently told me he sees no way that we'd ever get back together. I think that was his prologue to bring up her pushing him for divorce. They're having fights, which they've never had fights before, apparently.
Oh, I'm glad they're having fights. Good. That's good news. I like that. We're together on that. We're together on that, Michelle.
Yes.
The fact that he says he can never see you guys being together again, please don't let that program you, because we run into those kinds of things all the time, and people not only say things like that, sometimes they say the meanest things you can imagine to the other person, and so I know it hurts, I know you don't like to hear it, and it's awfully hard to stand up and just take it because it's just mean, but I'm suggesting that if you possibly can, don't believe that. Now, he may believe it. I'm not saying he doesn't. But understand that this limerence thing, at some point, even though your relationship with him started with limerence, at some point, you were able to work past that. Now, that's exceptionally, exceptionally rare. That's why we tell people limerence always ends. And the limerence thing does. The limerence thing always ends, which means that that uncontrolled thinking, that obsessive thinking, that panic, that fear that you're not going to wind up with the other person, it will end no matter what. And if we had a lot of time and could analyze you, we'd figure out when it ended for you guys. Now, obviously, because of the principles that we stand for, I'm not really excited about the fact that you did that all those years ago. But we're not talking about years ago. We're talking about where you are now. And so if you have a specific question, is the question, because what I'm seeing on my screen here is your specific question is, will limerence end? And I'm assuring you that it will. Is there something else that you want to ask more specific than that?
I guess I worry that it's really not limerence. He has all the signs and symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
He told me the famous, I love you, but I'm not in love with you.
Yeah.
And I've, unfortunately snooped in the beginning. Now I've been cut off from that, but I've seen a lot of things that I wish I'd never seen. Mm-hmm. And it was really like a teenager in puppy love. So it just follows all of these things.
And it's been going on about 30 months, right? That was what I heard you say earlier. As far as you know, it's going to be going on about 30 months.
Yes.
Which means that, in all likelihood, it's well past the halfway point. Now, we can't give exact timelines on limerence. We just know that it's going to run somewhere between 3 months and 48 months based on the studies, the research done by others, not by me, but by others, and that at least half of them are over by the end of the 24th month. That kind of thing happens, although we can't predict exactly what the time frame is going to be for your husband. The fact that they're fighting now means that she's pushing. That's because of the fact that she sacrificed. You said she's already sacrificed her husband. She's divorced him. So she's made sacrifices, and now she's pushing. Well, what you hope to do here is this, is that you continue to be the best that you can possibly be. Okay, physically, intellectually, emotionally, spiritually. Because the fact that she's now pushing that may indeed push him into divorcing you. That's a possibility. But it's also possible that him pushing her, or her pushing him, I should say, that her pushing him will begin to generate those feelings of, wait a minute, because he's far enough into this, it's very likely that the halo effect is beginning to wear off. Now, I can't guarantee it. I'm just saying it's likely. And if the halo effect is beginning to wear off, then the fact that she's pushing him about anything is actually going to work to her disadvantage. And that's when we tell people what you do is you continue to be the best place you can be, the best person you can be, so that when that other thing begins to fall apart, they look back at you and think, I gave up something here. Now, again, and thank you, Michelle, for calling. I don't, and this is not to attack Michelle. She's 24 years after the fact. But understand that when marriages start this way, it can be difficult. And now we're going to go, let's see, we're going to go to Rob. No, it's Bob. I need my glasses. Bob in Pennsylvania. Hi, Bob, are you there?
Hey, how you doing, Joe? Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you. I'm doing very well, thank you. How may I help you today?
My wife actually left home abruptly about 4 months ago. She said during that time she crossed the line with a male coworker.
Okay.
It turned physical. She was staying with him. But a week ago yesterday, she came back home, was very genuine, and said that if I would take her back, that, she wanted to put everything behind her and try to work on us. She ended up moving home fully on Wednesday, and her mood was very stable. I saw genuine, what I felt was very genuine attempt. Wednesday went great. Thursday went great. Friday went fine. Saturday, I just noticed something a little off, but nonetheless, at some point in the morning, she told me that she misses what would be the other man, and that she thinks that she loves him. Which we had a false start back in November. So when we talked a week ago, I told her that, if you're serious about it, if you're not 100% serious that you want to at least see where we can go, or if we have a chance to put this together, please do not move back. I wanted to get something, I guess, kind of worked out. But nonetheless, I listened when she told me, as much as it hurt to tell. And we talked some. And afterwards, she said, I feel better that I was able to tell you that, to get it off my chest.
Good.
Saturday night kind of seemed back to, us cooperating, fine. And yesterday turned into an amazing day. And she actually yesterday, she is very introverted. So she's just, that's her type of personality. But she actually wanted to reconnect with my parents, who she was very close with. And I know it took a lot for her to, to do that.
That's big.
But I guess as amazing as yesterday went, and I understand this is going to be a process by no means. She's grieving and whatnot. But how do I keep moving forward, or knowing what she told me Saturday? Obviously now that's kind of in the back of my mind. Is it the last part of coming down off these chemicals, or is it in fact something I'm going to have to worry about, or do I change my focus, or I guess what?
Well, if I knew the answer to every question, I'd be a billionaire. You do understand that, right? So let me just,
certainly.
And I'm certainly not a billionaire, so that means I don't know the answer to every question. Everything I'm hearing here, Bob, I'm excited about. This is great. Understand that reconciliation is not like diving into the deep end of the pool. Reconciliation is like wading into the shallow end of the pool. And sometimes it's 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 1 to the side, 2 to that side, then another step forward again, because of the fact that you're having to reconnect, relearn each other. And the fact that she was emotionally connected to the guy, it's a good thing that she can tell you that. Because if she can't tell you that, in other words, she tells you that and you react badly. And when I say badly, I don't mean just the fact that you might get mad and yell at her or things like that. React badly can also be you just fall apart, you're sobbing, and she's thinking, well, I can't do that again. Either because your reaction to her was negative, or because she feels like she affected you in too negative a way. But you handled it. Now, sure it hurts to hear that. Without a doubt it hurts to hear that. But you're creating a situation where she can be open and honest and transparent with you about anything. And it's absolutely normal that when a person's coming out of a relationship with another person, even if it was, tiny or huge, as long as there were emotions involved in it, there's some degree of a grief process, which means that I've made a decision as to what's right, that's what I'm going to do. But emotions don't work on logic. And emotions, like all of a sudden, this day, poop, it pops up. You, for example, have you ever had an experience where maybe you're sitting at a traffic light or something, remember something embarrassing you did in the 8th grade, and get red face all over again? It just happens to people, okay? And so understand that emotions can come from anywhere and do any kind of thing. Everything I hear here is positive. I am so excited for you. If you can continue to be this strong, if you continue to let her talk, and you continue to listen. Yeah, it's going to hurt, but that you're there and understanding and compassionate, it's going to magnify the attraction and attachment that she has to you, and this is going to go really well. Just don't panic if you have a bad day or a bad week. It's part of the process. Remember, shallow into the pool, and you're moving around. You hope to get to the deep water, and I think you will. You hope to get to the deep water, but don't panic when it looks like they're backing up a little bit. You're already in the pool. That's the main thing. And you can get there. You can do this. You sound like a pretty intelligent guy to me, are you?
I try to be. I do try to do as much research. I mean, I've listened to all of your podcasts and read as much materials as I can, and
Good.
to try to be prepared for this. One other, I guess, on the same subject. Wednesday and Thursday, she was very, very, what do I want to say? Showed a lot of affection. We ended up having sex a few times those 2 days. It was like fireworks. It really was. And I've heard that on some of the, podcasts and whatnot.
Right.
But since then, I don't want to say that she's been withdrawn, but I mean, there's been kissing, there's been hugging, there's been stuff like that, but it just hasn't, I guess, returned back to that.
Yeah.
Am I best to let her lead in that area, or for this time, or?
If it were I would, Bob, because she's going through all these different emotions. Okay, one thing that intensifies passion is fear. And so, for example, if all of a sudden she gets afraid of losing you, like, oh my goodness, then actually she's going to get more passionate. Or if she gets afraid of anything, fear drives passion. But passion's also driven by many other things as well, like, wow, I'm finally back with you. You actually took me back. You're forgiving me. That also can magnify passion quite a bit. So rather than trying to analyze, why is she doing that? Why is she doing that? Just think to yourself, well, at least she's still affectionate. We're still hugging some. We're still kissing some. If it were I would let her lead on this. And if it comes down to the point, I don't think you're going to hit any sexual difficulties. I think that everything you're doing is working so well. But if you do hit sexual difficulties, call us back, because I've got some recommendations for that. But I really don't anticipate that's going to happen. I think, my friend, the things are going awfully well for you. There's probably, I don't know how many thousands of people listening to this right now who would trade places with you in a heartbeat. I'm sure. I've thought the same thing when I've read the same stories myself. So I'm very appreciative, and I appreciate all of you and your organization's work. Thank you very much. Definitely has been top notch. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you very much, and hopefully to see you at the workshop. Oh, I'd love to. Love to have you guys at the workshop. And so, Jesse, let's put the telephone number up if people want to call. It's let's see, what is the number we use here? 657-383-0812. That's 657-383-0812. And if you call that number, if you just want to listen, then you can listen just by calling that number. If you wish to speak to me, whenever you hear the answer, please press the number 1, and that'll put you in the queue where you can be screened, where we can talk. Okay? Well, let's see. Moving down here just a little bit. I don't think this is the same Michelle I talked to a moment ago. Let's see if I'm messing up over here. Michelle is in Rhode Island. Is that where you are?
Yes, Rhode Island.
Hi, how are you today?
Good, how are you, Joe?
Rockin' and bopping. How may I help you?
Great. Okay, so I've been together with my husband for 31 years, married for 25, but we've been separated for a year because the year before he had an affair. We got back together. We started reconciling, but then I found out he was still doing his online emotional fears. This is a kind of a difficult situation. Prior to his first affair, he had been a wonderful husband, a wonderful father, but he let out a secret that he'd been keeping for most of our relationship, that he had been sexually abused as a child.
Wow.
By a very close family friend, and then that actually reoccurred as an adult, actually forcefully. And the relationship happened for 2 years while he was in his early 40s, until he was able to get away from the person. And
okay, let me make sure I understand what you just said. You're saying that some male abused your husband when your husband was in his 40s?
It was the same man. He was abused as a child by the same man, very, very close family friend.
Okay.
He'd been abused by him as a child. He's known him since birth. But that person actually wanted to take the relationship further. And at one time when they were alone, he had used physical force, and meaning a gun. And he forced my husband into a relationship, blackmailed him, that type of thing. I had no idea about it. He came out and let us, like, the whole family know 2 years ago. So it was, this is like, a very difficult situation. I did not know how to handle it, so of course I didn't. I kind of let, the law handle it, and I let the counselors handle it. And I kind of hid from it. To be honest, I kind of emotionally hid and worked like 60 hours a week. But in that time that probably he needed me, he sought someone else, and he found a relationship within months of letting everybody know about this relationship. And that, once I found about, that was like another bomb. First bomb, then second bomb, and I ended up in a mental hospital. And I did. But we got over it, and we reconciled. But he's not healthy now. He wasn't healthy then, and he's not mentally healthy now. He is getting counseling. I'm getting counseling. But, after the first affair, I thought we were reconciling, but then I found out months, almost, about 6 or 7 months after, I found out he was still on the phone with people, still on social media with people, and I asked him to leave. I kicked him out. And so it's been a year since that's happened.
Now, when you say these
so
people, are these all females? Are these some males?
No, all females.
Okay.
No, and through his counselor, she tells him that he's seeking out this female attention because it's validation that he's not gay, because he's not gay.
Possible.
He doesn't have gay feelings.
Okay.
And so he's seeking out, because of shame and validation.
Okay.
So.
And the question you were about to ask, I interrupted you. I'm sorry. You said the question is.
We've been separated for a year. He's had, in that year, he's had multiple affairs online, and he's had a few in person. He's said he's stopped everything now except for the emotional affair, probably a few. I know one that is long distance, never met the person, but she does give him comfort. And he doesn't, in counseling a few times, he's gone with me. And I said to him, I'm willing to work on anything, but I can't work with you while there's other people involved in the marriage.
Right.
How are we supposed to work together when you're seeking these people out, especially this particular person that gives him comfort and he doesn't want to give her up. So with the help of my counselor, she said, well, you can't work together unless you give that up and try to see if you can be together. And there is love between us, deep love between us. But, there is also mental illness on his side for the abuse he suffered, for the mental illness he's suffering right now. So my question is, I finally, in October, I gave him an ultimatum. I said, you either have to agree to work on the marriage, get rid of all of these social media connections, see what we can do, or I'm going to file for divorce. And he was honest. He wasn't able to give up the emotional affairs. And so, we were going to have divorce court in December. He asked if I would postpone it because he was going to go into a program and get some help, which I'm aware it's not going to happen overnight.
Okay.
And he's done that, so we postponed it. But I've seen very little change in him. He has come home, not on his own. He's been wanting to come home, but in a separate room.
So how can I help you? What can I do for you, Michelle? How may I help you?
The question is that he's back home, but it was kind of like it wasn't like he wanted to be there to be with me. I think it was just like, a situation of safety in the home. And he wants me to continue this relationship, which is like being friendly with each other, but not much else. But I'm trying to stand up for the marriage, even though I filed for divorce. But he's still in an emotional relationship that he can't give up.
So what is the question,
Where does that leave me?
Okay.
Where do I stand in it? What should I do? Should I continue with my firmness? Look, you have to give up these emotional connections and let's go to counseling together, or the divorce is going to go through, or do I continue to let him do that?
Okay, when we start thinking
when
about
I
this,
say do that, I mean
right? But see, you've already not done that. What I mean is this: you told him we can't get together, you can't come home unless you stop those things. But if I heard what you said correctly, you actually did let him come home anyway. And now he's like, okay, I'm here. I just want to be friends. I want to be buddies. Let me live here. And what I hear you asking is the same thing that you had already decided with the help of your counselor. As long as you're involved with this, as long as you're doing these things, then I cannot live with you. But you've already changed that. And so my question is, one way or the other, my recommendation, and I'm not trying to override your counselor. I never, ever want to override anybody's counselor. But my suggestion is that you need to make a decision. And if the decision is, no, we will not work on this. You cannot live here unless you stop those other relationships. I'm not going to just be your roommate. If you make that decision, then you have to stay with that decision. If you decide, no, we'll live here and you can be my roommate, and maybe over time we can fix this, if that's the decision you want to make, then it's your right to make it. But don't expect a whole lot of progress. People pretty well do what you let them do. And in the situation where it's like, okay, we can live together. You can keep on having these contacts with these other women, and I'll be your roommate here. If you allow that to happen, my question is, what's the motive to change? What is the reasoning that would lead him to want to do anything differently? Now, I'm not going to tell you what to do. It's not my decision. It's yours. And I hope that your counselor's not telling you what to do either. It's not his or her decision. It's yours. You always have to make your own decisions. But if your decision is he can't do this, my strong recommendation is you have to stick with that. You can't back off on that and change it, because if you do, you basically give the message, yeah, this is what I want, but I'll put up with other stuff as well. And I don't know that's the message that you want to give. At least if it were I, it's certainly not the message I would want to give. And so now we're going to move to Ralph in Australia. Hi, Ralph, are you there?
Hello, Dr. Bean. How are you?
I love that Australian accent. I'm doing well, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Thank you so much for taking my call. I really, all the marriage helper content online has just helped me so much.
Good.
Over the last few months. So thank you so much to you and your team, and to Master Kimberly. I have a question. I guess it's specifically about what I can do next in my stand. In my marriage, I've been separated now about 10 months.
Okay.
Yeah. And for the first few months, it was a really, really tough separation the first few months with just no contact at all. And, smart contact absolutely works. It took about 2 months to get to the point where we could actually rebuild communication so that we can communicate now daily. If my wife reaches out to me, we have 2 young boys together. I'm sure there's so much that's happened in that time. We recently sold the house, so we haven't lived together for 10 months, and it was a big push that I did at one point, but I needed it because I had nowhere to live. It resulted in her just leaving and taking the kids, and the second time that it happened, and it was really bad. But about 6 months now, we've come back to a point where we can communicate. There's a lot of trust being established again. Bricks are coming down.
Good.
But recently she initiated, or we just talk. Sometimes it might be 5 minutes when we talk about the kids and do a handover. Sometimes it's maybe up to an hour. She allows me to come to her place now. Things like that. But she did recently, over a phone conversation, say to me that, and I guess through all this, I'd really been feeling that, we've been married 10 years. I guess I'd been feeling that it was just all me in terms of, and I'd been completely oblivious to things previously, but through going through like anger management courses, doing whatever I could in terms of just exploring why did we even arrive at this point, because she'd never told me why. She just disappeared. And I was left to try and figure out what had happened, and I had been feeling like, it's all me. I've been an emotionally abusive husband, like just through content and things that I've been reading and working through. And but then about 2 weeks ago, that she actually opened up to me and said, you know what, she actually feels like she should never have got married in the first place. She absolutely loves and adores her kids, but she's like, I'm not even wired to be a mother. I got married because it seemed like the good thing to do for a young Christian girl, and I feel like I was really immature back then, but I could see that. There's a few other things, and then I'm working on my pies, and she said to me, "Look, you haven't even changed. Nothing's changed about you. She still feels like I'm really selfish. That she doesn't feel loved." I'm trying to work out what's the next step.
Okay. Do you feel like that you have changed, Ralph?
I feel like I'm definitely working on some things. She said to me that I'm completely oblivious to even see my own selfishness, but she doesn't feel like I'm trying to be malicious in any way.
Good.
Or hurt her in any way.
Good.
And an example that she gave was we were doing a handover of kids, and it was in a public place at the shopping centre, and we talk regularly. So we were on the phone actually, talking as I was about to go pick up the kids. And the example she gave me is we did that, and then while we were on the phone, she actually lost one of our children.
Oh.
In the shopping centre, it was not a big. Yeah, he wasn't lost for very long or anything. It was just like he wandered off.
Right.
And she explained to me the situation and she was quite distressed and that kind of thing at the time. And I just walked over, and because it was almost like because I was really calm about the situation, she and I went over, and I didn't really know what was going on at the time because I got there and I was expecting to meet them in one place, and then they weren't in their place, and then there was another friend there that I hadn't seen for a long time, and I was like, I'll just be nice and say hello.
Okay.
She said to me, and she explained what she was feeling. The reason why she was so distressed is because she was saying to me that our youngest child, when he realizes that he's lost, he's going to be really upset, and she didn't want him to have that fear of being lost.
Okay, so here's what I'm hearing you say. Here's what I'm hearing, Ralph. What I'm hearing is this, that she doesn't feel that you understand her emotions, and especially not the depth of her emotions. Now, when she says things like, I don't know if I was ever cut out to be married, I don't know if I was ever cut out to be a mother, those are a little disturbing in the sense that sometimes people will say that kind of thing if they're trying to set up doing something. Like, I was never set up for this, I was never intended to do that. But then she went ahead and indicated that she really does have that motherhood instinct, because when you were at the fair, when you were out there shopping, and she started to think, okay, my kid, where's my child? She instantly felt what the mother felt, which will be, what is my child feeling? And is my child scared? And so it's not just my fear that I've lost my child. What is the child feeling? Which indicates a strong empathy contact or connection between the mother and the child. So when she says, I don't know if I was ever designed to be a mother, well, she just showed that's not actually true. She's actually having all the kind of instincts a mother has. Here's what I think's going on, my friend. Now, obviously, you're a half a world away, and I'd love to come back to Australia again. That's where I got my PhD, my doctorate degree at the University of Sydney there. But here's what I'm going to suggest. If indeed I'm correct, and she's thinking, Ralph, you just don't understand what I feel, and you certainly don't understand the depth of what I feel. Now, I'm guessing that's going to be the core. I really am. If that's it, Ralph, you sound to me like a man's man. I mean, and I like those kind of guys, rough and tough, and you can handle whatever comes at you. But over here in the United States, we had a president back in the day, back before my day, Abraham Lincoln. And when Sandberg wrote about Lincoln, he described him this way. He was a man of steel and velvet. I can hear in your voice that you can be a man of steel. I mean, I think if I were with you in the outback and we got into trouble, I'd be thinking, I'm glad I'm with Ralph. This guy can handle anything. But being that man of velvet is a little bit harder to do, because it particularly means now I've got to be sensitive. I've got to be soft. I've got to be understanding. And women, as you know, don't necessarily think like men do. They feel things differently. They feel a different degree of depth. And therefore, my friend, if there's a possibility of putting this together, if that possibility exists, here's how it's going to happen. I think, in my opinion, it's going to be you sitting down with her and saying, teach me, literally, use that language, teach me how to understand emotions. Teach me how to understand your emotions and what you feel. Because you know I'm a good guy. And you know that I love you. And I know you know that because you're not attacking me. But at the same time, I know that I'm failing you in some way. And I need you to teach me how to do that. Just like I can teach you how to do things, I need you now to be teaching me how to do that. If she reacts positively to that, even if at that outset she's kind of reluctant to do that, if she has any kind of positive reaction to that at all, my friend, I think that's the very next step. I really do. And if that doesn't work, get on Skype or something and call us back, my friend. And so now we're going to go to Philip in Illinois. Hi, Philip. How are you today?
Hey, how's it going?
Rocking and bopping. How may we help you, my friend?
Well, I've got a kind of strange story. My wife split up with me on Christmas Day and left 2 days after that. It's been a lot of ups and downs. We still keep some kind of contact. We got 2 kids. Living in Chicago, I got a rough job, and I bring a lot of my work home, and so does she.
Okay.
So, like last night, we had a situation where we try to talk every morning and every night. We do both go to counseling. I go by myself, she goes by herself, and then we both go together. So last night, we talked, and I've been with my wife for 24 years, and I know when she's lying. So she called me from a location, said where she was at. And I said, well, who you with? And she says, nobody. And the way her voice went up, I knew she was lying. So what I did is I got in my buddy's car, went, and I drove where she was at, and I was sitting outside and found out she was sitting with somebody. I didn't sleep all night. I'd been up all day. And it's about 7 o'clock this morning, I texted her, hey, can we talk? She said, yeah. Well, I told her what I did. So at this time, she says that she is just disappointed in me, but she kind of understands. And this is really new to me. We've never been like this. A lot of what our relationship is, I was kind of verbally abusive. She was kind of sexually abusive.
Yeah.
She was depriving, and I was feeling I can't think of what I'm looking for. That she would take sex away for 2 months, and she controlled it. I was tired of rejection. So for 2 years, I said, you know what, forget it. I don't want nothing to do with it. You know, if you want sex, you initiate it. And I went on for 2 years like that.
Wow.
And so we still try to say we love you every day, but I'm confused on what to do. I'm trying to do the smart contact. I'm still trying to keep, my ties up, keep my spirits up. I don't try to contact besides this morning. I let her come to me. But it's tough. And
sure it is.
The stupid thing I did yesterday is really bothering me, but I don't know.
Well, if you're going to wind up being perfect at this, then you'll be giving us lessons, okay? There's nobody that does this perfectly. Nobody. We teach the principles, and we help you work through them as best we possibly can. But don't beat yourself up if you do something that, wow, I should have done that a little bit differently. Does your wife believe that you are emotionally connected with her or not?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she believes that I watched your one video about staying together or fighting, and I played it for her, and I said I chose to fight. I didn't wear my ring for most of it because of my job. So I went and I got a rubber band type of wedding ring, and I wear it all the time now. And I keep screwing up a lot. I keep that, every time we get together, we talk about the relationships I know we're not supposed to. And I was one of them beggars in the beginning because, like, on Christmas, I begged her to stay. Then I started seeing some of your videos, and I said, you know what? I said, that's kind of ignorant. I mean, it's very selfish on my part. If you want to go, I understand. You need some space. You need to get emotionally in the right state. You know what I mean? So that following Saturday, she moved in with a friend of ours. But the living conditions that she's in is horrible. Now, her mom and dad live across the street. Her mom has bad cancer. And another thing I'm wondering about is my wife's depression's real bad. I'm wondering if she might be going through a menopause. So between her mom's cancer, between maybe possible menopause, and our issues, is it all combined?
Could be.
She won't leave our friend's house, which I do trust the friend she's with. I've known her first. So in the living conditions being as filthy as they are, I mean, if she wants to go to bed, she has to crawl in from the foot of the bed because you can't get around it.
Wow.
She's trying to make room in the basement so our kids can spend some time with her.
Wow.
And that's a mess. I mean, the yard is full of garbage because they're trying to clear stuff out.
Okay, so she's moved out, and she's living with somebody else, but the kids are still with you. Is that correct?
Yes, they're staying with me. I still have the house. Yes,
Okay.
they're staying with me because my kids go to private school.
Right. Okay.
I mean, they're going to stay by here tonight for the first time.
Okay. And so do you think that she is actively emotionally involved with somebody else, or that the fact of what you saw last night was a passing thing?
Well, see, 20 years ago, she cheated on me twice. Once with a close friend of mine that was living with us, and once with a coworker.
But that was 20 years ago. What about now?
Correct. Well, what about now? I've been seeing different signs, but nothing's connecting. I've been, looking into this, looking into that, and I've asked her, and I even asked her this morning, and she said no. The friend that she was with was a friend that I said she'd been sneaking around for a while with, and it's a female friend. But she says, no, just last night, she goes, I know you don't like this person, that's why I lied to you, this and that. I said, well, if we're still going to counseling, how are we going to fix it? So I really don't believe she is, no.
Okay, good. How familiar are you with the programs, the things that we offer, my friend? Are you, for example, a member? Are you part of our online course called Save My Marriage? Are you part of that by any chance?
I don't know. I'm just a subscriber right now. I'm trying to get more. I did call to try and do one of your seminars because it's from Chicago to Tennessee. The wife told me she said there's too many, like one kitchen. She wants to have just like this counselor. She doesn't want to go to do both. She said it might screw things up. Because I wanted to come down and do your 3-day seminar. Okay.
Well, let me give you a gift of something. We have an online course. It has 10 weeks worth of stuff. It's called Save My Marriage. And you would know if you were in that or not. Call back to whoever you talked to here. Do you remember the name of the person you talked to here by any chance, our client representative?
I do. If you give me a second.
No, that's right. You don't need to tell me now. I just want to know that you know it. And so if you'll call that person, just call that person, and then you tell that person, Dr. Beam said that he is gifting me the online Save My Marriage course. And then what I'm asking you to do, get into that online course. You can do it from right there at your home. Get into the online course and get a few weeks into that. And then if you're not getting some really strong ideas about how to handle this, call me back then. But I want to give that to you, and I don't give many of these away. As a matter of fact, they yell at me when I give them away, so I'm going to get yelled at for this. But I'm going to give that to you.
Thank you.
So look, find that person's name, the client representative here, call them and tell them Dr. Beam said, and what they always do is they'll contact me to verify, and I'll say, sure, absolutely, I told Philip that we're going to give him this program, and let's go there first and see how that works. And then if that does work, wonderful. If not, then what you need to do is call us again later and see if we can help. All right, we're going to go down here, and now we're going to move down to Pennsylvania, and we're going to move over to Todd. Hi, Todd. How are you today?
Hi, Joe.
How may I help you, my friend?
So I was actually committed adultery and married the woman that I committed adultery with, and moved, changed my job, changed my whole life to be with this woman, and we've been married since October now, and I'm really feeling a lot of regret, a lot of guilt.
Yeah.
I actually read your book, Getting Past Guilt. Helped a lot. I read another book by Rubel Shelley, Divorce and Remarriage, a Redemptive Theology.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there's people that say I shouldn't get another divorce, but part of me feels like, I guess deep down inside, I feel like this shouldn't have happened. I shouldn't be in this relationship. I shouldn't be married to this woman. She really loves me, and she doesn't want me to go. And I'm seeing a therapist right now myself to try to get through some of this. But when I saw the opportunity to ask you a direct question, I just I guess I wanted to take the opportunity to do it. So.
All righty. So you're feeling a tremendous amount of guilt, my friend. I'm so sorry for that pain, but that's what guilt does. Now, you see, you're asking me a question that's more theological than what we do here. And when you say, should I divorce her and go back to the first, back when I was a minister, which was back a long time ago, pardon me, I guess I cough when I'd say the word minister. Back when I was a minister many, many years ago, young minister, back in the late 1800s, I would have had one view of theology there. And now in my position, I have a different view of theology. Here's the general principle by which we work. Now, obviously, you have to make your own decision. And if you've read Rubel's book, Dr. Shelley lives right here in Middle Tennessee. I'm sure you can find him one way or the other. He also teaches at Lipscomb University, and he doesn't teach there anymore. I'm sorry, Caroline, who is my brilliant assistant over here, says no, he doesn't teach there anymore. But you can find Rubel, and if not, if you can call our office down here and say, help me find Dr. Shelley, I'll see if I can find his email for you or something. You might want to talk to him if you want to talk theology. I mean, he's the theologian. When it comes to us, here's the way it works. We tell people, we fight to help people save a marriage. That's what we do. Now, would I agree that you should not have ended the first marriage? Yes, I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Would I say that adultery is a bad thing to do? Yeah, I would agree with that wholeheartedly as well. I do. But now that you're married to the second person, the way we view it is, okay, now this is the marriage you work on now. That, yes, it started badly. The other things should not have occurred, but they did occur. And now you're in this marriage, and so do what you do whatever you need to do to make this marriage work. But see, that's our philosophy. I'm not giving you theology. I'm giving you the way that this organization exists. If you want to look at it theologically, I strongly recommend finding Dr. Shelley. If you want to look at it that way, then that's a different thing than what we do here. But we couldn't, by the very principles by which we operate, we could never help a person in one marriage to go to another marriage, even in a situation like yours. Does that make any sense to you at all, my friend? I mean,
yes.
Okay. And as far as the guilt is concerned, I do hope you find some way to get past that. You know, lots of us, Todd, have done some really crappy stuff. You know, I have. I certainly have. And that's why I wound up writing that book, Getting Past Guilt. When Howard... when Howard, that's published by Howard Books, which is a division of Simon & Schuster. When they first came to me years ago to write a book, they wanted me to write a book about spiritual warfare. And I said, I'm happy to write a book about spiritual warfare, but I want to write a book about guilt first because of all the things I've done in my life and finding the way to be forgiven and feel forgiven. Well, they did make me write the spiritual warfare book first. But so they just gave me a 2-book contract. And that was the second book, Getting Past Guilt. And I wrote that, my friend, for me, so that I could find the scriptures and the healing and the hope, so I wouldn't the rest of my life be bogged down with guilt. And I do strongly recommend that you find a way to do that through God. Now, again, if you want to find Dr. Shelley and you can't, email here, and I'll get one of our folks to find out how to get him, and we'll email that back to you, okay?
Yeah, thank you so much. And again, that book has helped me a lot. The Getting Past Guilt book, I would recommend anybody read that. That definitely I appreciate your your vulnerability and just sharing your story in that book and then everything else with it. So yeah, that's definitely helped me a lot. Well,
thank you, Todd. That means a lot to me. It means a whole lot to me. All right, my friend, you take care. The book, Getting Past Guilt, if you guys are interested, you can find all of my books on Amazon. Of course, you can always call here at Marriage Helper, and we'll go ahead and give our 800 number up here on the screen. Our 866 number, it is not 800 numbers anymore, 866-903-0990. And if you're having a problem with your marriage, then and you haven't talked to anybody here yet, you call that number, 866-903-0990, and tell whoever answers the phone, we have a whole lot of people here, and they'll get you to one of our client representatives. And he or she will be able to listen to understand enough of your situation to refer you to whatever resource we have that can be of assistance to you. Now, it's not a hotline. It's not like you're going to call and talk to a counselor. That's not the way it works. The client representatives will listen enough to understand, and then they'll help you understand what products we have, if any, that will help you, or what services we have, if any, that will help you with that. Now, they're not going to twist your arm to try to get you to do anything, but they are going to try to get you the best resources available to help you with whatever you're facing. We also on YouTube, if you go to youtube.com/Marriage Helper, all one word, Marriage Helper. We've got how many hundreds of videos there now, Jesse?
Over 300.
Over 300 videos there now. And we're adding 2 or 3 a week. Is that correct, Jesse? Okay. They hate it when I talk to them off camera. One of these days, I'm just going to make them sit right here with me so you get to see these wonderful people I get to work with. We have an amazing team of people. All together, people that work with us in one way or another, there's over 50 of us now. And we continue to try to find more ways to help more people. And if you go to youtube.com/marriagehelper, you can find videos on all kinds of topics there having to do with relationships, mostly marriage, but having to do with relationships. Now, if you subscribe when you get there, then when these new videos go up, you'll get a notice that this one just went up, it's on this topic. This one just went up, it's on that topic. And therefore, you won't miss the new ones. Now, right now, Kimberly Holmes, our CEO, is doing a lot of those videos. She has a master's degree in psychology. She's very smart, very wise for her age, actually. And she's doing some tremendous videos that we're getting people responding to in wonderful ways. I personally am on some other projects right now that I've been assigned by Kimberly, who is our CEO, and I'm working on those diligently, and hopefully I too will soon be back doing videos. Now, I have many, many videos there already, and hopefully we'll be doing more when I can finish these projects that I've been assigned. The whole idea is we want to continue to do more for more people. And so we're all working diligently, and that's why there's so many of us, and we're adding people all the time. And if we can help you, we truly want to help you. Jesse, what else did I not mention that I should mention here? Okay, the YouTube. Our telephone number. Okay. Well, in that case, Dr. Joe Beam saying, I hope you have a great week, and Lord willing, we'll see you next Monday, 12:30 Central Time. Thank you.